Here's the summary, guys. We're done. Good job. So what did we do? Well, we had an initial discussion with respect to what Kubernetes is, right? So what are the different components? What is the architecture of Kubernetes looks like? It could be um, single node, multi-node. We talked about the different workloads, right? Pods, deployments, replica sets, stateful sets, jobs, cron jobs, and so on. We talked about the networking of Kubernetes, how pods can see other pods. Within the node, they have access. Outside the node, they need some kind of a service. And a service is pretty much the means by which a pod can be accessible from other locations. There are different kinds of services, like cluster IP is the one that gives network access to the pod from within the cluster, anywhere from within the cluster. A service with node port is the poor man's network service, right, to outside world, to the outside world, outside the cluster, that is. There is a load balancer, which is usually what I see, personally what I see, and then there's the external name, which makes use of DNS and domain names, right? Load balancer is what we did. Tooling, we used kubectl to manage our cluster, K3D to create a cluster, um, Helm, right, to deploy our no-name platform and the no-name remote engine. I explained them. We talked a little bit about Ingress controller, right? You can use Nginx. Most of the time, I do see Nginx controllers, Ingress controllers. Uh, but for our course, because K3D comes bundled with Ingress traffic, we might as well use it. Makes our job simpler. And then we went and we talked about the no-name platform in Kubernetes. We talked a little bit about the different components, the different recommended setup. That recommended setup is actually validated when we install, right, the no-name platform. So that's why we had to use the resource management set to false, so we don't do that validation of whether we meet the recommended setup. If we maintain those validations, then we're going to fail installing the no-name platform inside our Kubernetes cluster, right? We talked a little bit about how Helm charts are organized, the different values that we need to override, and so on. And then we created a K3D Kubernetes cluster. We did this once for the no-name platform. We did it twice for the remote engine. And then we configured and installed the no-name platform in Kubernetes. We had to do a few things like managing the Kubernetes Helm charts, right? We moved them in a proper location. We provided an override file. We provided credentials so we can pull the no-name components from the no-name registry. And then we did the installation using the Helm command, Helm upgrade hyphen hyphen install no-name sec dot whatever whatever, right? We waited about 7 minutes, 6 7 minutes before the installation was complete, and then we had to configure the ingress traffic controller so that it routes traffic to the appropriate service, Nginx. Okay, and we did pretty much the same exact thing for the no-name remote engine after we provisioned the no-name remote engine. Provisioning of remote engine is done by the user. You have to go under the no-name platform. You have to create a new engine or add an engine. You have to select the type of engine, OVA, right? Virtual appliance. There you go. Server, which is Docker Swarm installation, which is what we do in NS301, and of course Kubernetes, which is what we used. There is a lightweight, there is a lightweight type of um, clustering, like by provisioning workers, different workers, so you can have multiple routers, multiple NATs components, right? But always you have a single engine, so it's not true. It's not the full-fledged clustering or parallel processing we're used to, but still it gives you the ability to process more throughput. Okay, and then as soon as we provision it, we were given straight up the values that we need to update, and we just had to inject inside our training remote helm.yaml overwrite file the values that we're interested in, right? That's all we had to do. That was a little simpler. It's a lot more content in the override values, but it's a little simpler because we only had to copy and paste these set of values. And of course, we turned on the platform, so we have the log-based integrations available to us. Okay. And as soon as we started installing the remote engine, I told you keep an eye on the statuses because the statuses are going to change from unregistered to offline to partially online or online. Okay, and in our case, we went straight up to online. And then if you hover over the statuses, then you get to see the individual services, which ones are available and which ones are not. Okay, or which one are not applicable. We had to set yet again the ingress traffic for the remote engine. We just copied and pasted the URL from the engines page and we got the OK and we were good to go. Okay. And with that, we have concluded the class. So the class is done. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart from listening to me, guys, for attending, being attentive, and learning from me. Right? There is a certificate of completion, like a proof of completion that you're gonna get as soon as every single element in the resources has a check mark, right? And there is a certificate, there is an assessment quiz. It's just an assessment quiz. It's repeatable, just 10 questions. Most of them relate to Kubernetes because it's unavoidable, right? Uh, yeah, that's it. Thank you. Again, do the survey if you want to give me more feedback. Complete the survey. And thank you. Thank you again. Much appreciated. Oh, if you have any questions, comments, anything at all, training at nonamesecurity.com, and chances are I will be the one still responding to those emails. Okay. Thank you. Much appreciated.